And we will recall that one of the bold steps and initiatives taken by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo immediately after being sworn in as president of this country was placing a ban on small-scale mining and illegal mining, what we popularly term as galamsey. This ban became necessary because of the unacceptable techniques, methods, and forms of mining which had negative impact on our lands, on our water bodies, on our forest reserve, on our environment in general. In view of this, an interministerial committee on illegal mining was constituted in March 2017 to enforce the ban firstly, and secondly, to develop a roadmap which is to guide and regulate the activities of our small-scale mining. This interministerial committee is chaired by the Honorable Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, who doubles as the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation. After a year of extensive research, consultation, training, and engagements with key stakeholders, have developed a roadmap. And this roadmap has been approved by Cabinet. And it is to serve the purpose of regulating the activities of our small-scale mining. On this brief note, ladies and gentlemen, I will invite the Honorable Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng to present to all of us here and to the good people of Ghana the roadmap and other key and important information which will see to the transformation of our small-scale mining industry. Thank you.
Cherished Ghanaians, I'm reading this statement on behalf of my colleague ministers who are on the Interministerial Committee. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, about 1.5 years ago, the President of the Republic sent the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining on a journey to address a very important matter that had the potential of destroying our biodiversity. The issue at hand is illegal mining that has stressed our water bodies, our farmlands, our forests, and our soil. First of all, humanity has a problem of climate change on its hands. It is universally accepted that climate change is a problem, and its effects are being felt in Ghana. In the northern part of our country, the dry seasons are becoming prolonged and intense, and this has the effect of affecting the vegetation cover, farmlands, and increasing incidence of wildfires and the drying of our water bodies. Along the coast, our deltas and lagoons are also under attack from climate change. Coastal erosion from rising sea levels is a big problem. Villages and towns are disappearing at an alarming rate. Farmlands and pasture are being destroyed by seawater. Our mangroves are disappearing. Compounding these seemingly natural events are human activities which are harmful to the environment, including illegal mining. We are very careful not to single out the smallest scale artisanal mining, or otherwise known as galamsey. Even the largest scale mining company can be involved in illegal mining. And these activities have contributed in destroying our forest cover. Some of you may be aware that around the turn of the century, Ghana had about 8.4 million hectares of primary forest. This went down to about 4.2 million in 1950. And around 2010, it went down to about 1.5 million hectares. Now we think our primary forest is less than 1 million hectares. This is a problem. In 2010, the FAO estimated that the deforestation rate is about 135,000 hectares per year. And the rate of reforestation and afforestation combined is about 20,000 hectares. So one can immediately determine when there will be no forest in Ghana. Illegal mining is defined as mining that has not been licensed by the appropriate state regulatory institutions and that are usually harmful to the environment. In the context of our work on the Interministerial Committee, illegal mining is defined as mining in riverbeds, as dredging, mining on riverbanks, mining in forest reserves, land degradation, non-reclamation of land, small-scale mining engaged by foreigners, and the use of dangerous chemicals. We all know that small-scale mining sector is a significant contributor to the economy of local communities and rural livelihoods in many parts of the country. And so we know that in Ghana, our laws dictate that small-scale mining is a preserve of Ghanaians and should be so. Unfortunately, small-scale mining operations are characterized by illegality, social conflicts, negative health and safety impacts. But the management of this type of mining at the local level has become very complex as foreigners with heavy equipment and in collaboration with Ghanaians are involved in this activity, causing a lot of havoc to our water bodies, our farmlands, and our forests. In addition to this, our regulatory authorities are not well resourced to meet their obligations. So soon after the president was sworn into office in January 2017, he expressed his commitment to protect the land, our forests, and water bodies for the present and future generations. As part of the president's commitment to curb and sanitize illegal mining, he established the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining in March 2017 to coordinate and salvage the ongoing menace. The members of this committee are drawn from the ministries, as I mentioned earlier on: environment, lands and natural resources, local government and rural development, interior, defense, information, chieftaincy and religious affairs, regional reorganization and development, monitoring and evaluation, and water and sanitation. Mr. Charles Bissiu, a presidential staffer, was appointed secretary to the committee. The committee is supported by the Minister for National Security, the National Security Coordinator, and the Chief of Staff herself. A ban was put in place on 1st April 2017 to suspend artisanal mining throughout the country for a period of 6 months and has further been extended till now. To enforce the ban, Operation Vanguard, made up of 400 men from the Army and Police Service, was launched in July 2017, precisely on the 31st of July 2017, and deployed to the mining areas to monitor and effect the ban. Mostly in the eastern region, Ashanti, western, and central regions. Then we started training of small-scale miners at the University for Mine Studies in Takwa, and so far we've trained about 3,000 small-scale miners, all at the expense of the government. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic and our Commander-in-Chief, indicated on the 7th of July 2018 in Koforidua that he had instructed the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining to establish a monitoring regime that will ensure that when the ban is lifted, miners will not repeat the mistakes of the past and pollute the environment. We can imagine that this decision to lift the ban will elicit varied responses from Ghanaians. There will be many who will say that the water bodies are still polluted and so the ban must be maintained. On the other hand, there will be those who will argue that hundreds, if not millions of Ghanaians whose incomes are related to small-scale mining are under extreme financial pressure and can no longer cope with a sustained ban. Small-scale mining has gone on in our country for centuries. Our grandparents employed methods that did not pollute the environment. It is now up to us to refine our methods of operation that will preserve the integrity of the environment and our biodiversity. The pollution of the soil and water bodies and the destruction of the farmlands are environmental problems, not so mining. And so we have enough environmental laws that will help us maintain the integrity of our environment. The regulatory agencies, that is Minerals Commission, Environmental Protection Agency, Water Resources Commission, and the Forestry Commissions have now been adequately resourced to carry out their regulatory functions. Measures have been devised that include regular visits to mining concessions, use of remote sensing and satellite imagery and drones, and more importantly, integration of the activities of these regulatory agencies through a computer application we call GalamStop. So the Minerals Commission, EPA, Water Resources Commission, Forestry Commission, our MMDCs will be integrated through this software application. Ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, it will take Ghanaians of goodwill to continue to buy into the President's vision and goal of not only preserving our rich biodiversity for present and future generations, but preventing disease and death of the vulnerable in our mining communities. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, from the very beginning, His Excellency the President made it clear to the committee that he had no illusions about the complexity and seriousness of the problem at hand. A lot of damage had been done to the environment, but he was of the conviction that if we did our work well, solutions will emerge that will be beneficial to other sectors of the economy. And by and large, we are on the path to achieving that. We now have enhanced water and soil management regime. We are now mainstreaming photogrammetry, satellite imaging, and drone application in the way we do things. We now have software application that is linking our regulatory agencies. And these are things that have emerged out of this complex fight against illegality. I wish to thank the foreign entities for their tremendous support in the fight against illegality in the mining sector. One, the Council of State for their advice, admonitions, and constructive criticism. The President and members of the National House of Chiefs for their advice and support. The Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining that continues to spearhead education of the general public through several media outlets. I also want to thank the Vice Chancellor, faculty, and entire management of the University of Mine Studies in Tarkwa for their immense contribution in the training of small-scale miners, training of drone pilots, and the vetting of mining concessions. I also want to thank Operation Vanguard. Despite constant maligning and temptation and the challenging terrain they have to traverse on a regular basis, they have given Ghanaians enough evidence to appreciate the true nature of Galamsey. I also want to thank the Small Scale Miners Association for their compliance and cooperation. I also want to thank many Ghanaians who sent in letters and memoranda, and also to make telephone calls to provide inputs into the fight against Galamsey. Finally, I want to say something. I wish to end this segment. After this, we'll see a PowerPoint presentation on the roadmap itself. I wish to end this segment by reminding all of us that the Almighty God himself hates those who pollute and destroy the earth. Environmental pollution is a sin God takes seriously. It is recorded in chapter 11, verse 18 of the book of Revelations in the Bible as follows. I quote, "The nations were angry, and your wrath has come. The time has come for judging the dead and for rewarding your servants, the prophets, and your people who revere your name, both great and small, and destroying those who destroy the earth." Unquote. That is the Bible. So, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the first session. From here, we are going to show you the roadmap in pictures so that we can all appreciate what His Excellency the President has done so far. So this will be the presentation outline. Our key achievements will assess the objectives of the ban, our challenges, the way forward, and the next major activities. Next slide, please. So we started with public education through a series of press campaigns. As we all know, the Media Coalition did a very good job, and our Minister for Chieftaincy Affairs also toured the whole nation and interacted with chiefs and opinion leaders. Next slide, please. So these are some of the pictures that we captured from the regions, showing the Minister for Chieftaincy Affairs and some members of the committee interacting with chiefs across the country. Next slide, please. Again, we have trained 3,000 small-scale miners at Tarkwa in sustainable mining. So we hope that with this, the training that they've had, they will help us prevent the mistakes of the past. And all of them testify that it has been a very good training and they benefited from it. Next one. Then we had Operation Vanguard. I believe that Operation Vanguard has done a very good job. There are reports that some were doing things that may not be optimal, but by and large, we believe that they've helped us a lot, and we'll continue to engage them as we go along. So this is what has happened. As of now, Operation Vanguard has arrested about 1,400 illegal miners, and only 10% of these have been prosecuted. We've seized about 650 excavators. Now it's up to about 700 excavators, and immobilized some machinery. Seized 84 cars, motorbikes, dredging equipment, close to 6,000 of them, and ammunition. You know, in some areas, the people are armed. In the Upper West, you know, there's a serious problem over there, which we will solve. Ammunition. These are the scenes from the regions. And when I see these pictures, I become disturbed. This is destruction of our biodiversity. Next one. And look at the picture on the upper left. I mean, there's complete destruction of our water bodies. And when I see that Ghanaians collude with foreigners who may not have anything to do with our future, all they want is money, and then they destroy our environment and go away, I become very disturbed. So we should all come together, people of goodwill, so that these things will not happen again. Next slide. These are pictures of destruction going on in the country, and our president is not happy at all. Next slide. And the defense minister and Mr. Bisiu flew over an area in the western region. This is where gallant soldier was killed. And look at the devastation that has happened over there. This should not happen again. Next slide. Operation Vanguard has been very effective, but as I said, we need Ghanaians of goodwill to help us. When you go to certain mining areas in Wassa area and many parts of the western and central regions, some foreigners have set camp in the villages and they are selling things like some provisions, including vegetables. And the villagers know that apart from the things that they are selling, they are renting out excavators and heavy mining machines. And if we don't take any action, these things will go on and our environment will be destroyed. Next slide. And so, to strengthen the regulatory agencies, we have set up mining districts. As of now, there are 60 mining districts, and we have set up District Committee Against Illegal Mining that is headed by the DCE on the spot. 3 new districts will be opened in the northern region and sub-offices. That will bring the total of the district offices to about 72 across the country. And we hope that when we bring the activities of our fight into the communities, then we'll be successful. And so we count on our DCs, municipal chief executives, and the traditional authorities who are members of these committees to help us in the fight against illegal mining. Next one. Also, as part of this exercise, Ghana has ratified the Minamata Convention. And as you know, Minamata is a little town in Japan. And for some years, people were dying of diseases that they could not determine the cause. But eventually, after some years of research, it was determined that mercury was the cause of the death in Minamata. And that is the name of the convention that seeks to ban the use of mercury in mining. We have signed on to it, and UNIDO, UNDP are going to help us assess some funds so that we can monitor the level of mercury poisoning, not only in the water bodies, but in the soil and in human beings who live in these communities. We hope that this project will start pretty soon. We have also met the National Small Scale Miners Association, and I must say that they've been very compliant. We don't have any issues with them. They've been very cooperative, and sometimes their executive members are attacked by the rank and file of the men because they cooperate with us. They think they've collected money from us. No, these are honorable men and women who love their country and they want to sanitize their trade. We thank them for their cooperation. I mentioned Galamstop. This is a software that we have developed, very solid, and I hope that one of us will come and demonstrate how it works. So we are going to link all the agencies, Forestry Commission, Water Resources Commission, EPA, DVLA, and even the International Labour Organization. When they saw what we are doing with the Galamstop, they hook onto it because they want to prevent children and minors engaging in small-scale mining. So we are very happy that this is attracting international attention so that the world will know that our president is serious with the fight against Galamsey and that we are not going to allow people, including miners, to engage in illegal mining. Next one. This is a picture of our computer tablet, and we have enough to distribute to the Minerals Commission, all members of the Interministerial Committee, the regional ministers, and members who are at the forefront in the fight against Galamsey. This will give you a picture of what is happening on the concessions, and it's very important indeed. Next one. So, for example, in this picture, you will see a gentleman who owns a concession. 3 of them, their names are there. You have their TIN, that is tax identification numbers, their addresses, their biodata, and so on. And this will be incorporated into a card, an ID card. Next one. So with this information, we'll know exactly where the concession is, their GPS coordinates, the Ghana Post address, and whether they have licenses, whether the license has expired, and so on. It will also help the miners themselves, because we know that according to law, mining licenses should not take more than 90 days to acquire. And in the past, it took up to 5 years. That is why some of the miners got involved in illegal activities. With this software, we are going to follow the life cycle of the licensing regime so that everybody will know who has applied for a license and the stage at which the process is. And then we'll be able to shepherd the miners and the regulatory authorities through this exercise, that everything will be transparent. Next one. And so with this software also, we'll be able to determine the type of machinery that is being used on the mining concession. This is very important so that we can block equipment that we don't want to see. Next one. So what has been some of our achievements? Through the Galams of, as I'm saying, we are able to monitor the life cycle of the mining licenses and work with our stakeholders. We are now working closely with the Ghana Water Resources Commission in the area of water quality assessment. And government is also resourcing the agencies, especially the Minerals Commission, so that they'll be able to do their work well. Next slide. And so we have acquired these vehicles for the Minerals Commission, nicely branded Galam Stop. And they will get about 26 of these. 12 will come this week. They'll get them next week. The rest will come within a month. And the Ministry of Local Government will get 2 of these vehicles so that they can carry out their alternative livelihood activities effectively. And I think that we have to thank the President all the time for his initiative and for his drive. Next slide. As of now, although the ban has not been lifted yet, and I promise you it will be lifted, when exactly we'll all discuss it later on. I can say that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development has started its alternative livelihood program, and we have selected 15 districts in 5 regions. And now people have applied to undergo the training. We've trained the trainers, trained them already. We've vetted the applicants, and they started their training on the 20th of July this year. Next slide. These are some of the things that they are doing: masonry, carpentry, and many other activities. There you see our dear Minister Haji Halima Mahama in the upper left picture. Yes, as I said, we are also using drones to monitor our activities. And if we look at the big picture there, it saddens me. You know, the road should have been at least 50 meters from the edge of the water. But because of our illegal mining activities, we have eroded the soil to the extent that even the high tension wires, cables, are hanging. And it's only a matter of time that we'll have problems even with power. So this thing should not happen again. We don't want a situation where another ban will be instituted in the future. And the President doesn't want that, and I'm sure the small-scale miners themselves don't want that. Next slide. This is a picture we took from Ahafo, Kenyasi. You see those pockets, the holes there. These are pits into which the miners descend and bring out their gravels for processing. This picture can be seen in many parts of the country, including the Upper West, the Wa district. And we need to work on that. So at this point, we have to assess the objective of the ban. Have we been able to stop illegal mining? Not completely. It's going on. But we don't think that we'll be able to stamp it out 100% before we lift the ban. But by and large, we have succeeded. There are fewer people working on the land doing alluvial mining than before. And the problem we have now is not with the small-scale miners, but with some officials who are supposed to know better, but are doing the wrong things. Also, because of the effectiveness of the Operation Vanguard and the compliance of the small-scale miners, there are fewer people working on land. That is why most of them are being sponsored to work on the rivers, because they know that we have some deficiencies policing the rivers. And therefore, you see more activities on the water bodies. That is why, from hence, we are going to intensify our efforts on the water bodies so that we get rid of those who want to pollute our water bodies. And sadly, we know that a lot of the small-scale miners have migrated to other West African countries. And recently, there were reports that a lot of Ghanaians were being seen in Liberia doing galamsey. We are not happy about that, but we are happy that you are not disturbing us. Have we been able to stop forest deforestation? Not quite. But I think with the help of the Forestry Commission and many others, we will be able to stop it and intensify our afforestation and reforestation efforts. Land degradation is on the decrease, and when we get back to work, I know the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources are doing a lot of work. They have seedlings they want to take onto the field to do the afforestation and reforestation. Have we been able to ban foreigners in small-scale mining industry? To some extent, yes, but it has to be 100% done, and this we will do. Next slide. What are our challenges? A lack of commitment in certain areas. We know that certain communities depend upon small-scale mining for about 80% of their IGF. I'm talking about district assemblies. And so you can see the apprehension, the reluctance. But we need to do something more so that everybody complies with the present directives. Lack of law enforcement, and we have to intensify our efforts in this area as well. And I'm told that Operation Vanguard will be beefed up so that we'll be able to cover the whole country and do our work well. And some citizens have not been committed to the fight against galamsey for obvious reasons. So as we go along, as we find work for people to do, the compliance will be increased. Next slide. So the way forward, the Ministry of Information is putting up a documentary that will show what has happened so far and the way forward and what we expect every Ghanaian to do to help the president stamp out this illegality from our country. The documentary will feature chiefs, traditional leaders, DCEs, the small-scale miners themselves, members of my committee, and it will highlight the role of government, stakeholders, the communities, and all of us in preserving our biodiversity. Next slide. And government will continue to strengthen the stakeholders, and we are also going to monitor the small-scale miners. It's not that the ban will be lifted and we all go to sleep. No, the monitoring will be intrusive and extensive so that we all make sure that we don't go back to our bad old ways. Next slide. So what about the state of the water? I mentioned that we still have problems, but we are monitoring the water bodies. And this slide shows you what has been done so far. Before the ban, in February 2017, we measured the turbidity in the or Brim River at Akemoda, and that was over 3,822. And this should be less than 25. So we can see that the water bodies were polluted. If we look at the first column, Osino, very bad, Chifupraso, Dunkwa-Onofin, Adiamra, in the Shanti region, it was 4,150. Now it is 11. So that some villages have started, the people have started drinking the water. I was there to see it myself. And Dadieso, Bia River, is down to about 19. It's still high in some areas, but it shows you the trend. And we are getting cooperation assistance from some of the embassies and some of the international organizations to monitor the water bodies closely so that we are able to do well. See, these things that we are doing are linked to other sectors of the economy. For example, we have problems with plastic pollution. And I wish I could ban plastics in Ghana, but it's difficult. If we are polluting the water so that villagers have no access to river water and they're all relying on sachet water to drink and to prepare food for their children, then it would be unfair for us to ban sachet water or plastic sachet. And so as we improve on these activities, it will give us the strength and the vim to do other things as well, including managing our plastic pollution. Next slide. So as you can see, this is a picture that was taken at Dadieso in February 2015. In July, even before Operation Vanguard was very effective, as a result of the media campaign launched by the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, the water improved a lot, as you can see from these two pictures. Next slide. And this is the Pra River at Chifupraso in February 2017, and after the campaign, it cleared a little bit in July 2017. One can see that it's a little better. We want to improve on our performance so that we can mine and get our money and also preserve our water bodies, our forests, our farmlands, and our biodiversity in general. So what are we going to do? His Excellency the President introduced the NAPCO program. And as part of this program, we have gotten some staff from NAPCO who have been trained as drone pilots. As at now, we have trained 170 of them, and we have also trained 144 Galam stop operators and core handlers. We are going to have a call center in our office that will operate 24/7, I'm told. 10 core handlers to receive information from across the country in our fight against galamsey. Next one. So these drone pilots, there are 144 of them that have been trained for the district committees. So every district committee where mining is taking place will have drone pilots. We've bought the drones, they are ready to be used. We have also acquired 16 for the Regional Coordinating Council. That will be under the direct control of the regional ministers. And the headquarters will have 10 drones. Operation Vanguard will have access to 18 drones and 15 drones for the Minerals Commission. So we are ready. The training was started on the 3rd of July and it's completed already. So the drone pilots are ready, the drones are there, and we are ready to move on. Next slide. These are pictures of some of the drones that we've acquired. The Phantom 4, that will be, there'll be a lot of them for day activities. The one in the middle has thermal sensors that will allow us to deploy them in the night. I was going to say that will help us to deploy the drones at night. Because we had the situation where Operation Vanguard could not operate in the night because they did not have night vision equipment and so on. Now we are going to have these drones. We have them already. That will help us to monitor things at night. Then the one on the right is our hybrid. That's a more powerful drone that can stay in the air for about 2 hours and monitor the things that we want to monitor. We, with the help of the U.S. Embassy and the Desert Research Institute, we may also get another type of drone, another type of sensors with the LIDAR sensors. This night vision works. The number one have problems when we have crowd cover. You cannot see through the crowd. But when we have this LIDAR that will employ pulse laser, we'll be able to see day and night and through every crowd. So you cannot hide. We'll catch you. Next slide. And then we'll have a room in our office with these monitors. And these monitors will serve as our imaging and drone tracking center. So we'll be able to monitor 4 drones at a time, live. If a drone is deployed in Brahafo or in Sechehimman or Wasel Kropon, we'll be able to see the things that the drones are seeing live. We have trained 3,000 small-scale miners. But apart from them, these are the registered miners. Apart from them, we have what we call galamseyers, people who don't have licenses and they go anywhere and start digging. And they cause a lot of harm. And so we are also going to train these people, get some concession for them, put them together to form community mining cooperatives. And we expect them to be registered with the small-scale miners so that every miner in Ghana will be part of the Small-Scale Miners Association. And we are talking to some of the mining companies to seed some of the concessions that they are not using so we can help the people who want to go into mining. I want to repeat, the president is not against mining. He wants to make it better for Ghanaians to go into it, do it well, and get their money. But don't collude with foreigners to destroy our farmlands, our soil, our forests, and our biodiversity. Next slide. Again, there's something that we are going to do. We are going to provide every mining concession with an ID card. This ID will contain a lot of information. One, the Minerals Commission PIN number, the EPA PIN number, the name of the concession owner, its location, geographical location, who owns it, whether they have licenses, whether the license is valid or not. So there will be a barcode on that card, which someone can have. But this card will also be printed on the signboard that will be placed on the concession, so that if the one possessing the card is not there, you can use your mobile phone to scan it and get all the information that you want. So this will help us see and examine those who are genuine miners and who are not. And we are not doing this, we are not imposing this on everybody, but we are doing, at every stage, we are talking to the Small Scale Miners Association and they are helping us do this work. So this is how the ID card will look like. Kofi Mante Enterprise, that is me, from the Eastern Region, Atiwa, and GP code is there, and the card ID number is also there. Next slide. So the conditions, this is very important. This is the last one, a very important slide. So what are we going to do now? One, we are going to direct that all excavators be brought to designated areas in all the regions, and the regional ministers will make sure that this is done. The reason we want to do that is that we want to give every excavator an electronic tracking device. When that is done, then they can go back and do. So we want to know the number of excavators that we have in this country. Some say 5,000, others say 7,000. We don't know. But we want to know where they are and what they are doing, so we'll be able to track them. Every excavator will be moved to a particular area and to receive an electronic tracking device. This announcement will be made on the 20th of this month, next week, where either the Minister for Information or the regional ministers will tell all of us the exact locations where this excavator will be guarded. And then the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources will also give a list of companies that are flouting our laws. There are certain so-called large-scale mining companies, but they are not. They have large-scale concessions, but they are using small-scale methods to mine. And they are flouting a lot of our laws. And the minister will give directives as to what they are supposed to do. And we also want to stop what we call bulk sampling. The minister will also give us more details next week. Also, we are going to withdraw all military and paramilitary forces from the ground, and Operation Vanguard will be the only force that will be in the mining concessions. Because you don't want a situation where some private person will go and hire somebody to provide security for a company and come into conflict with Operation Vanguard. So we want a situation where Operation Vanguard will maintain sanity in all the mining concessions. We will tour all the communities to make sure that these directives are going on well. And we'll establish the quality of water bodies. This is being done by the Water Resource Commission, and it will be done 3 or 4 times a year to make sure that we are on track. And then the ban will be lifted. And the names of all the companies that have been vetted will also be published in the newspapers so that we all see. Now, somebody will ask me, when exactly are we going to lift the ban? I cannot say it now, but I know that His Excellency the President will want small-scale miners to spend the Christmas very well. That one I can say. But it will all depend upon how we go on with this roadmap. It can be much earlier than we anticipate, or it can go forward maybe a week or 2. But one thing I can say is that the President wants you to earn some money and enjoy your Christmas. Thank you. God bless you. I want to say something that we also intend to do. You see, what I've outlined may not be perfect, and we are open for discussions. But there's one thing that we want to do. When the ban is lifted, and we have some professors from TAQWA, members of the vetting committee, they are all here. Because of the ban, some licenses have expired. So the Minister for Lands or the Ministers Commission will make sure that these licenses are extended so that to lessen the burden on small-scale miners. Also, we are thinking about maybe writing to your banks so that if you have some loans that are overdue, they can reschedule your loans for you, and then you can pay in peace. The vetting, there will be an announcement next week on the 20th that will direct the small-scale miners where they are to present their documents. And the vetting itself will start on the 3rd of September. If it goes very well, then we will know when the ban, exactly when the ban will be lifted. You know, we reckon with starting activities from the 8th, that was last week, but because of certain activities, we couldn't. So that is why I'm saying that I cannot tell you exactly when the ban will be lifted, but it will be lifted so that you spend a good Christmas. Thank you.